That's right. We're back. I know it's been a minute. What's going on, everybody? It's Josh doing a recap video for our Week 5 game against Dylan and the head coach of the Chicago Cloysters. I am your coach of the Fargo Flygons. You know this. I don't know how to do an intro, so we danced to Glitch City. So take it for what you will. No video last week. Was super busy and didn't really have time to put up our 5-0 against Harry. Played really well and really loved how that game planned out. He had a busy week, didn't get to prep a whole lot, and we were able to just kind of get in and take advantage of the fact that we had more time and we had a better set on our entire team, basically. So you didn't miss much, but we got the game against Dylan this week. We got a game against Noah coming up, and then we end the season with Sean. So cool things coming, and as you see, I've got new streaming stuff. So with that, we get Team Builders back. Super stoked to get kind of like some new stuff in the stream here, as you see below. We can actually go through and kind of explain thought process on kind of the team that we're bringing against Dylan. He's got a sand team. He drafted Excadrill, Hippowdon, Xatu, Vaporeon, Porygon Z, Gyarados, Ferrothorn, Chandelure, Shuckle, Raikou. So a lot of scary stuff if the conditions are right. His team really is focused around that weather and making sure that he has the sand up and definitely like always in the back of his mind. So Hippowdon, super important. He's brought it almost every week. He's got some really good defensive pivots with Ferrothorn. And Intimidate Gyarados can switch in. Vaporeon is a tank. So while he's been struggling, it's not a free win. And I keep saying that because, we've been beaten by, a couple of teams that I think we should have beaten or we had the chance to beat. And I don't want to take the free wins for granted because we are fighting for playoff seeding. My goal with 3 games left is to finish in the top 3. I think we're in 4th right now, and I think if we play well in this game, which you'll see in a second, and then our week 6 and 7 games, we have a pretty good shot of making the top 3 and then getting some really good bracket seeding for playoffs. So let's run through the team builder. We are bringing first and foremost the dude. Slowbro is I can't go a week without bringing it. It's the best defensive mon that we have. Water typing is super good against Dylan's team, so we're bringing the dude. Scald, Flamethrower, Protect, and Slack Off. Really just full defensive set. We're bold Regenerator with leftovers. 350 defense after investment and almost 400 HP. So this thing is designed to switch in and take hits from Excadrill, take hits from Gyarados, and really just be a defensive wall that he's going to have a tough time breaking. Now Ferrothorn with Power Whip and some other things, could be a check to it. Porygon Z with the special defense. On my slow roll being only 197, Porygon Z could come in and throw thunderbolts in there, and it that's something to be aware of. Raikou, if it's special, which it most likely would be, an energy ball from Chandelure we're not taking very well. Shadow ball from Chandelure we're not taking very well. So this is really our tried and true defensive pivot, and gonna do a ton of work for us, just being able to soak hits and then regen out and just be able to always be there as a consistent switch in. With that, Ting Tang is coming back. So Ting Tang, the Tangrowth, have not used Tangrowth a ton in the first half of the season. Matchups weren't super great, but now I think we're definitely in a stretch where Tangrowth's value skyrockets. So we're bringing kind of a mixed attacker set with, again, a ton of defensive investment. So Giga Drain, Earthquake, Knockoff, Leech Seed, really to be there to shut down the sand. Really just like Wall, Hippowdon, Excadrill, Gyarados. The Tangrowth takes like no damage at all from his physical attackers, and is a really good check to Vaporeon and some of his like other kind of like walls that we can still kind of wear down with Knockoff, Leech Seed, and Giga Drain. So we're running Leftovers, Regenerator, and Lax as our nature. And then the stats at the bottom, you see over 400 HP, 383 on the defense, and still a very respectable 237 attack and 256 special attack. So not only am we going to take hits, but we can also kind of dish them out too, which is cool. So that's Ting Tang. Next up is Mr. Sticky coming back again. Our Goodra, our Assault Vested, Special Wall, Dragon Pulse, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, just the full gambit of coverage moves. A ton of Special D and Special Attack, actually. 350 attack and 333 defense. And with the Assault Vest, we're up in like the 500s with Special D. So we're going to take hits. This is my switch into Chandelure. This is my switch into Porygon Z. This is honestly like just a switch in anytime he gets a special attacker up. So we've also got Sap Sipper, so if Ferrothorn wants to try and Leech Seed something or Power Whip it or something like that, we get a switch in and can maybe get a free switch in and then be able to Flamethrower it down. So that's Mr. Sticky. Pretty simple there. We are running Modest, so special attack, increased nature. We're gonna really hit hard, and Mr. Sticky could play a pretty big role this week offensively as well as defensively. One of the coolest things that I'm super excited to try this week is Bumble back our Alolan Sandslash, but not the defensive variant that you would expect. We've kind of got physical walls covered in Slowbro and Tangrowth. So we brought fully offensive Adamant Life Orb Alolan Sandslash. Icicle Crash does absurd damage to the majority of his team. Like we're talking 60 to 85% depending on who it is. And then Ice Shard can pick it off, or we get a speed boost with Rapid Spin to take away hazards, and keep our Regenerator core healthy on switch-ins. I'm really excited to use Sandslash in an offensive role this week and be able to maybe take somebody by surprise and drop a big Icicle Crash that they're not expecting. So super excited about this. After one Rapid Spin, we actually hit right around 249 speed, which is enough to outspeed a good number of his team, unless they're like Scarfed, or some of his like faster threats like Excadrill and Chandelure obviously are still going to be faster. But if we get one Rapid Spin off, we're kind of sneaky fast. And then, like I said, that Icicle Crash does a ton of damage. Up next, another set that I'm really excited to try this week is Bindi the Crocodile, but we're kind of a more utility Crocodile set than like fully offensive Choice Band, Moxie, Life Orb. We just go in and try and sweep. We're actually running Expert Belt, Intimidate, Jolly. So Crocodile is going to be our lead this week. We have Stealth Rocks on it. We also have Fire Fang coverage for the different steel types that he has, Ferrothorn especially, which is who I expect him to lead off with. Otherwise, it'll be Hippo. Earthquake and Knockoff are great against Hippowdon. Fire Fang is there to two-shot the Ferrothorn, and then Stealth Rocks is, just nice against Dylan's team. He's got a couple Rapid Spinners or options to get hazards away, but getting Stealth Rocks up for Chandelure or for Gyarados is really, really cool to be able to get some really good chip damage in. And the Expert Belt is just kind of like a cool item that, is really going to help Fire Fang especially do the job against some of his Steel-type walls. And then finally, we've got our Jackie Chan, our sweeper on the physical side this week. We're running Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, Knockoff, and Swords Dance. The goal with this Jolly Justified Lumberry Gillade is to just, bide our time and then eventually be able to swords dance in front of one of his walls and then be able to sweep his team. Keep our health high with Drain Punch. Thunder Punch is there for coverage against the Vaporeon, against the Gyarados. And, Knock Off just hits Dylan's team really, really hard across the board. And Drain Punch, like I said, to keep us healthy. So we're going to look to hopefully, just bide our time with our team, stay patient, and then be able to sweep with either Sandslash or Gallade this week. So that's the plan, and let's get into the gameplay. So, okay, we have our nice little replay system here, and let's just jump in. So right away, we get the Crocodile and Fairthorn lead, and I just straight up go for Fire Fang. I thought about maybe doing rocks, and thinking that we were gonna trade rocks, and then I thought to myself, if he goes for rocks and I go for Fire Fang, I immediately cripple this thing, and then it's in range of being hit again. I outspeed, so he can't stay in, and then he can switch out, and then I get up rocks for free. And it's kind of like the same outcome either way, but I don't take damage most likely from like a Power Whip or a Body Press or something like that. And being able to have Crocodile's Intimidate later at a more kind of reliable health range, I thought was super important in this matchup. So I go for the Fire Fang, be aggressive right away, do good damage. Take a little bit of Iron Barbs. He uses knockoff. Our Expert Belt's gone, which is fine. A Fire Fang is still going to do 47%, so it'll be still enough to kill it. So he can't stay in, and we kind of get this this exchange. And I'm actually up now after Hippowdon comes in, and I get up rocks. So, yeah, I got my Expert Belt knocked off. That stinks. But no hazards on my side of the field. Hazard's up on his side. Fairthorn's really, really hurt, and I know it's got knockoff. So I think our lead, our kind of like our set lead this week worked perfect. If he had led Hippowdon, things would have played out a little bit different, but I still think I would have gone for either rocks or knockoff, and we'd kind of get that same outcome. An intimidated Hippowdon's not going to do a ton of damage to Crocodile. It's still going to do a lot. Crocodile's kind of frail, but I'd still be comfortable. So I think our plan of like a set Crocodile lead was actually really cool, and it paid off. So after Hippowdon comes in, I switch right out into Tangrowth. He uses Earthquake, and I take 9%. So tang tang, wada wada bang bang. He goes for Protect, kind of expecting a Grass type move, I expect. I just go for Knockoff because I thought he was going to switch, to be honest with you. I didn't expect the Hippowdon to stay in against a Tangrowth. Either, I could have Sleep Powdered, I could have Leech Seeded, I could have Giga Drained, but he just uses Protect, scout a little information. Sandstorm is chipping away, but we get Leftovers recovery back, so we know the Hippo's got Protect. He switches out, and I actually go for Leech Seed on the incoming Excadrill, which I did not expect him to go for so fast. Later found out that this thing had Poison Jab, but we get a Leech Seed up right away, and there is a little bit of sand still, playing a factor. So this thing is Omega fast. But I'm still confident at the time. I don't know it has Poison Jab. I'm thinking it's got like Rapid Spin, Stone Edge or Rock Slide, Iron Head, and Earthquake. The pretty standard set. So I ran a calc real quick, figured that I could, pretty reliably stay in. And we get the Leech Seed recovery back. He goes for Rapid Spin as I go for a pretty big Earthquake here. Takes Excadrill all the way down to 8%. I don't think there was a chance to kill, but I was doing more damage with Earthquake than I was Giga Drain. And with the leech seed, if he hadn't gone for rapid spin, the leech seed would have killed. That's kind of what I was playing for there, rather than trying to set something else up or knock off his item. I just we have the investment in Tangrowth's attack, or we have good base stats for attack, so I just went for the earthquake to try and kill it, or do as much damage as possible, and we get a really good earthquake off. And now his best sweeper on the team on the physical side is really, really hampered, and we have a good chance of being able to get through this without Excadrill being too big of a problem. It is +1 speed. It's still got Sandstorm up, and I don't have priority on my team, so there's no way I'm outspeeding it. But the Sandstorm actually goes away, so the Hippo doesn't have the rock. He switches out to preserve the Excadrill. We get a knockoff on the Ferrothorn, which is great. I decide to get the heck out, get some regenerator recovery, just kind of knowing that, hey, if he goes into Excadrill at any time, Tangrowth is 100% going to wall it out. And I want to save Tangrowth for the Hippowdon too. And kind of the Gyarados. I mean, it's really not taking a ton of damage against any of those three. And getting an Intimidate off and bringing Crocodile in as the sneaky check on the Ferrothorn is kind of cool. He goes for Spikes, which is it's fine. And then he gets the heck out as I get my rocks up again. Smart of him to skedaddle. He saw the Fire Fang from before, so that was kind of I knew he wasn't going to stay in, or I figured he'd go for another set of spikes, or maybe go Stealth Rocks or something like that. So I was just okay, let's get our rocks back up and kind of play things out. So the Hippo comes back out, we have Sandstorm up again, and I go into Slowbro, which is kind of my dedicated check. Earthquake is doing 20, Sandstorm and Leftovers kind of cancel each other out. He goes for Protect as I go for a Slack Off. I thought he'd either Protect, thinking I was going to Scald right away, or Switch. And I figured, okay, if I have basically a free turn to get all my HP back, and then we can kind of play reactive. Like I said, keys to the game, shut down the sand, stall out turns, protect our sweepers. Sand Slash and Gallade don't need to come in until the very end. And then, use our bulk and regenerator to our advantage. So, playing it safe, just kind of seeing what things are going to plan out. He has to switch, and we go for a Scald, which does 13%, which was a high roll. We had a chance to go for Scald again and be able to kill the Ferrothorn. And in the back of my brain, the fire immunity of Chandelure is kind of still looming. Now, I really want to go for Flamethrower here because, number one, it's a for sure kill. And number two, I don't think he expects me to have Flamethrower. So he's thinking, okay, well, I can maybe even live another Scald unless it gets burned or something like that. And he would actually get another turn to use his Ferrothorn to either get more hazards up or what have you. But he stays in, and Flamethrower kills the Ferrothorn. So we're up 6-5, which is really cool. And Slowbro, the dude, gets another kill on the season, which is awesome. So he brings in Porygon Z. I can't stay in, so I switch out to our dedicated switch in to Porygon Z. Slowbro dies to a Thunderbolt or a Shadow Ball. Not good. But we built Goodra to take hits, and he actually tricks. So we get a Choice Specs Goodra against an Assault Vested Porygon Z. Now, I think I don't know what the thought process was there from Dylan. I think he might have thought that locking me into one attack would be really, really good. or I might switch into something a little bit more defensive. And he might have thought, oh, Gudra's a pretty bad matchup against the Porygon Z. I can Ice Beam it, and it's going to take a ton of damage, and I want to make sure that the Assault Vest is off. So I don't hate the trick play. I do. I ran through my brain here, and it's like, okay, you're giving me a Specs, and you're getting an Assault Vest, so you're gonna take the hit better than you would. But as this thing plays out, he goes for Tri Attack, which does 35.5, and like now I don't really have a special wall. Like Gudra was it. Which Gallade has a little bit of special bulk, but like not enough to where it's like on par with Gudra as far as like a switch into a special attack. So now I'm like, okay, panicking a little bit because I'm like, well, if I don't kill this thing in one shot, it's going to be able to outspeed me and Ice Beam me and kill me next turn. And Ice does a lot to my team. Tangrowth doesn't want to take an Ice type attack. Gudra doesn't. Crocodile doesn't. So like Ice Beam is scary, especially if like this Porygon Z has the ability to live a hit still. But Dragon Pulse, we get a crit, which is super unfortunate, and I'm sorry, Dylan. I don't think it mattered, though. I don't remember the calc, to be honest. I know before the Assault Vest switch, it was an OCO for sure, with my investment and being modest and having that choice specs. I don't remember with the Assault Vest on the Porygon Z what the actual roll was, but we get a crit, which was huge, but I don't think it mattered a ton. He goes out into Gyarados, which is, not a good switch for me, or like not a good situation for me. I need to keep Gudra healthy for the Chandelure as a switch in, and maybe be able to scare it out, or at least have something that I can bring in, take a hit, and then maybe make an adjustment there. So we switch out into Tangrowth, which we know is kind of like our Gyarados switch in. He goes for Dragon Dance, which at this point, I was terrified. Like 2 Dragon Dances on a Gyarados, and it almost sweeps my team with the right moveset. However, my Giga Drains from Tangrowth, you'll see in a second here. Oh, he actually doesn't stay in. My Giga Drain from Tangrowth is doing like 46%, and I'm healing enough damage to where I can still take 2 attacks, and I win that 1v1 because he's at 75% health because of the Stealth Rocks, which is cool. So he swaps out and brings in the Chandelier, which is an immediate like goodbye. I went for Leech Seed on the Gyarados. I guess with the leftovers recovery and kind of like that same thought process of like, okay, he's Dragon Dancing. I want the Leech Seed recovery. I want the leftovers recovery. I can still take a hit, and then with 2 Giga Drains, I can kill it. So that's kind of the thought process there. I forgot I went for Leech Seed. And I miss on the Chandelure, which doesn't really matter. It's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. But I can't stand. So I switch out into Crocodile. Honestly, expecting to just sack off Crocodile. And we live the Shadow Ball? I don't know, man. But that's cool. And I actually know that because I'm jolly, I'm faster. So knockoff kills. And now we're up. I've been neglecting the score. But now we're up 3-6. And Excadrill's almost dead. And I have both my physical walls ready to handle Gyarados and Excadrill and Hippowdon. So we're feeling really, really good at this point. Gyarados comes in, gets the Intimidate off, but he's down to 50% health now because of the rocks. Goes for Earthquake, and it does 11%. Yeah. We're in good shape. He switches out. I was going to go for Giga Drain no matter what. Does a good chunk of damage to the Powdon. He goes for Protect, just trying to stall me out or just kind of, stay alive for as long as possible. I go for another Giga Drain. We get a kill. And at this point, Tangrowth kind of just cleans up for the most part. Or it should, anyway. Excadrill comes in, uses Rapid Spin, gets the rocks away, dies to its Life Orb. And then Gyarados comes in for free. Gets the Intimidate off, but we're mixed attacker. He goes for Outrage, which is great. He gets a crit, but it doesn't matter. I kill with two Giga Drains, and we're good to go. So, yeah, just a really solid game for us. I thought we prepped extremely well, and a 6-0 win against an opponent deep in the season feels really, really good. I didn't really know what was going to happen this week. Dylan's got a pretty scary team in some scenarios, but I think we prepped extremely well. We brought the right sets. We didn't even get to use the cool stuff, like the Icicle Crash Sand Slash or the Gallade with sand Sword Stance and stuff. But like the Intimidate Crocodile was sick this week with Fire Fang and the Expert Belt and stuff. So just a really solid game all the way around. Dylan made a couple of questionable plays, but for the most part, I think it was a pretty balanced game on both sides. I think we just had the better team. We had the better coverage and the better options. And the thing with a sand team especially, and kind of like Noah's weather team for next week, like they're kind of pigeonholed into like different play styles. Well, I shouldn't say Noah's team because he's kind of, with the free agent switches and stuff, he's kind of moved away from just like a straight rain team. But like DJ's Sun team or like Dylan's sand team, they kind of are steered in one direction, and it's hard for them to be flexible while still bringing like their best Pokemon. So I think we played really, really well, and I think we prepped really well, and I have no complaints. So next week we play Noah. This is the game I've been looking forward to since the beginning of the year. Our teams stack up interestingly, is the way that I'll say it. He's hard to prep for. It's Thursday, recording this, so I'm 4 days behind, but so I've kind of done some prep, and I'm going to work with Garrett a little bit this week on kind of like some scrim teams and stuff. But Noah is difficult to prep for. He's got like 3 mixed attackers that really can go either side of the coin and be dangerous, and it's hard to be, in thinking of the scope of his team, it's hard to say one way or the other which way it'll go. I have a plan, and we're going to bring some non-conventional stuff, I think. But again, kind of falling back on some of the things that have gotten us to above 500. Now we're 3-2, which is awesome. We have 2 games left. I would love to end the season 5-2. 4-3 is definitely acceptable too, but we're definitely not going to lose the next 2 games. I can't afford to. I don't want to be in the bottom half of the bracket come playoff time. So that's kind of where we're at. We'll take like a couple questions from the audience now. Go ahead. What I'm most scared of going into Noah's game. Okay, great question. So it's tough to say like one threat that I'm most scared of. I'm honestly most scared of Noah going like completely out of the box and just bringing a weird team with weird sets, and then like our prep not being able to handle stuff that we don't think of, or like that he's like, oh, I can build Electivire with like this weird set, but have an assault vest or some dumb item that like lets it live and sweep 3/3 of my team. 3/3. That's, can you tell it's the end of the week? So I think I'm more scared of Noah as a coach than I am of his team, and the potential there. Next question. Yep. The 6-0 and a 5-0 back-to-back. How do we feel about our recent win strategy? I think the win streak is great. I think we've kind of dug ourselves out of the hole that we started in at the beginning of the year. Winning feels good. Nobody likes to lose. So I'm feeling good about kind of the direction we're headed. And like I said, I would love to end the season on a 5-game win streak and go into playoffs hot and ready to go. Next question. Yep, right here. Okay, what are we going to do with our last free agent swaps? That's a great question. So, yeah, we have 2 moves left that we can do through free agency. And we did have some stuff up on the trade block that nobody bid on. So, I'm going to take a look at the free agent list, maybe, during week 7. And see, if we want to make one move before the last game of the year against Sean, and then kind of really take stock of the whole season. Where did we fall? Where did we succeed? I think there's a couple of Pokemon on the roster that I think are like our weak links, or like things that I'm not interested in using. The Whimsicott potentially is something that we could drop. Tornadus is losing its usefulness, which is crazy to think, but its move pool is so narrow, and like its utility and like its job just hasn't really fit in with what I'm doing, at least during the last couple of games here. Like a modest attacking U-turn Pokemon is great, but like we built a team of bulk and like whittle you down and then crush you with Crocodile. So maybe getting a free agent switch in a pretty high tier, because I think Tornadus is like either OU or UU. So it's pretty high up there. So we might be able to drop Torn T potentially, and take a look at, a high tiered Pokemon that kind of complements the playstyle we've had lately. But I love our core of Slowbro and Tangrowth. Goodra is Goodra and Gallade as special walls that can also hit hard is just really, really cool to be able to have that option. Crocodile is team MVP on the offensive side, and it's getting some use defensively, or kind of in a utility spot too. So really happy with that one. Sandslash, I love that pick. I wish we could use it a little bit more. Jolteon, Thor is like, it's tough. Like Jolteon is like great in the matchups that it's good, and pretty terrible in the games where we don't have like a good matchup for that electric type Pokemon. So like the first half of the season, it was like, I want to bring Jolteon every week. The back half of the season, a little bit tougher for me to justify, bringing something that's super frail, needs a specs to hit hard enough to really make an impact. So we could potentially drop Jolteon. I don't think so, but you never know. I think Rotom Heat is still really good. There's not a lot of good fire types in this format, so like having it in the back when I need it is nice. But like, okay, this week we played against a sand team that has a whole bunch of resistances and immunities to fire and electric. Next week we play a rain team, or a team that's built around shutting down fire type. So we're probably not going to see it in week 6. We might, but odds are we're probably not. But I still want it on the roster and think it's a great Pokemon. So let's see. So we got the 6 on the team here. Jolteon, Rotom Heat, Tornadus, Whimsicott. Those are the 4 on the bench. I would say if we're gonna drop anybody, Whimsicott and Torn T are kind of like the most likely candidates. But just have to wait and see. Um, just kind of like the last question here that we'll take. You know, I really don't want to answer that because I want to be nice. I mean, you're right. Dylan's team should get relegated. But he's improving. He is getting better. I, I've been mean to Dylan all season and teasing him and stuff, and I really do think that he has gotten a lot better. I just don't think like the competitive battling is like his forte. He just plays too fast, I think, and that's kind of how I was at the beginning of the year. You know, I think he's getting there. I'm excited to see what happens during playoffs because I think he could surprise us.